Hear the screen. See the screen and also hear. Can you see and hear the screen? Mic check. Should be good to go. Welcome, welcome. Mr. Blue here, TradePhantoms.com. Get this straight here. While I'm getting this kind of aligned here, today's date. It's a Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. So still kicking off kind of the new year. Earthquake, yeah, it should be good now, Eric A. Shout out to you. Hopefully you're well, brother. My guy Eric A. in the house. All right, should be good there. I think if I'm only gonna ruin it. All right, good to go. All right, cool. Yeah, Tuesday, right? Mr. Blue here, TradePhantoms.com. Gonna spend an hour, give or take here, kind of go through a few things pre-market prep wise for the market. With a focus a bit more on futures, S&P, NASDAQ. I'll do some gold. Oil's starting to wake up a bit, so maybe I can cover that a bit too as well. And then we'll kick over into some options, stock and stock options, etc. Mainly the FANG stocks, SPYs, Qs, the Apples, Nvidias, Microsofts of the world, right? So we did have some news that just came out. So important to, of course, map out your week, right? Regarding news announcement. So today's Tuesday. I kind of blew this up, so hopefully y'all can see here. Tuesday, 14th, of course, that's today. We just had a core PPI, okay? That is a producer price index, right? And so that is a metric for inflation. Of course, inflation right now is still going to be a hot topic right now with the Fed kind of transitioning a little bit. I'm not going to go into that talk track right now. We need a little bit more time for that. But rates could stay higher for longer, right? So, however, today, the news that came out, core PPI, it came in lower month over month. And also, PPI came over low. It came lower than expected, both of these here. Okay, now CPI tomorrow is a bit more, I would say, important and more powerful, the consumer price index. So that's tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll be in the trade room, God willing, with the folks at Phantoms. When we run trade rooms, right? A lot of y'all are in here right now too. So welcome, right? To all, to new, and to all, right? Come on, come on. But yeah, so we'll, today. I'm going to get to the futures in a moment. Lower than expected. Now, is that going to let us know that tomorrow might be coming in lower than expected? Not, we have to keep everything individual. All right, but tomorrow's going to be a big one. Okay, even a bigger one than today in terms of just impact of said news. Other than that, everything's pretty normal for the rest of the week. Thursday, you got your unemployment claims as usual, and then Friday's pretty light day. Here in the U.S., which I'm explaining more dominantly here. Okay, so PPI came out a little less. A little bit less than expected. I'll get to the charts, of course, in a moment. But let me just go over to Think or Swim. All right, but before I do that, I can lay out this just really quickly. I bring this up every single day, even in the live trade room. Here's a top-down checklist, if you will, right? Everything at Trade Phantoms, TradePhantoms.com. We have demand supply is the backdrop, right? Institutional demand and supply, but we do multiple time frame analysis regarding that. In addition to that, kind of what I put together here for everybody, kind of a checklist. I'm not going to read this. Monthly, weekly, daily, major, right? Monthly, weekly, daily time frames. Okay, here's a checklist. Color code orange, yellow, blue for those associated time frames there. If you can kind of make that out. Bullish candlesticks, right? Location being most important, extremely important. We dive deeper into this with more due time. Bearish candlesticks, location being most important, all right, in context and structure, all that kind of stuff. And the liquidity map, which we do a very good heavy dose of this almost daily. I kind of bring this up. I try to make it a point to bring this up daily as we go through our live process and live trading, okay? So Think or Swim here, I got monthly, I got weekly, I got daily here. All right, but I'm gonna switch over just the major four indexes right now. So if I go to this page, okay, so I got the S&P on a daily time frame, upper left, NASDAQ, upper right, okay, Dow Jones lower left, followed by Russell 2000 small caps bottom right. Everything on a daily time frame, at least for right now. All right, but of course you always want to map out your higher time frame, as just mentioned, right? Monthly, weekly, daily. Oops, stop clicking. There we go. I'll pop open the daily time frame of the S&P futures. So this is what you're looking at right now. All right, S&P futures on a daily time frame, and we had a nice little drop. We made a quick little new lower low the past 2 days. All right, so if I just go over here, here's the current candle for today. So you can see off the back of PPI coming in a little lower than expected. Okay, producer price index. Okay, futures are just at the moment, okay, up off the back of that news. Okay, we get the S&P up 0.49%, NASDAQ 0.64, Dow 0.37, and then we have Russell 2000 0.80. So Russell 2000 a little bit more stronger right now overall, just pre-market. However, be careful with that because it's the weakest one overall. Okay, overall for the past a couple of quarters now. All right, but let me switch back over into the S&P futures, okay, on a daily time frame. And I'm not going to go way back. I'm sure you can maybe potentially rewind some of the past recordings, even on YouTube, okay, where, if you spend some time in there, right, I kind of went over the impulsions, the corrections, the impulsions of the corrections, so on and so forth. I'm not going to do that right now because I want to get a bit more prepped to see what we can, what today potentially offers due to this news that just came out, because it's a catalyst of potentially some volatility, okay? But if I were to just say, how did yesterday close, we have a kind of a doji here, right? So we have an open, a high, a low, and a close. I'm not going to go through the basics of candlesticks right now, but decent little doji here. Now we did have a couple levels lower down here mapped out, again, that we had just prepped for quite some time now, coming down into this level. And if I just take a little field trip right now, just really quickly, if I go to the SPY, for example, this is the SPY on a daily time frame, which is the ETF of the S&P 500. And we have a bit of a gap fill down here, so I'm on a daily time frame. So here's current price. You can see we're going to be gapping up a little bit here, which I'll get to in a moment. But the point that I'm kind of rabbit holing down here for a moment is because we had what's called an unfilled gap here from the election back in November. Okay, so massive gap up, and we have not filled that. But yesterday we had a gap down into this gap. Okay, so yesterday was interesting. I almost wish I was in the trade room with the folks at Phantoms. But we had a close here. We had a gap down, okay, into this unfilled gap. And there was a bit of an IBI, what we call an IBI, impulse basing impulse, right below that gap, okay? And we had mapped out this demand zone, and we cross-referenced this to futures, okay? I'll say that one more time, okay? We mapped out this demand zone, and we cross-referenced this into futures, okay? So yesterday we came down into that level, okay? And then we just kind of faded up for the rest of the day yesterday, right? Now, I'm going back to, so we filled that gap, okay? So that's a noteworthy thing there. And, if I have more time with the folks in the trade room tomorrow, we're going to update our charts, okay? So on and so forth, okay? Yesterday's high, yesterday's low being here. All right, but I'll get back over to the futures, and you'll be able to see these levels here on the darker background in a moment, okay? Now, back to this hammer. Now, we are above yesterday's high, okay, which is, yesterday's high, yesterday's low, which is important to map out, a bit of a hammer bar. If this market is going to potentially continue to rally, okay, we have some levels up here. So we have levels of supply mapped out. We have levels of demand mapped out lower. Okay, and you'll see that in a couple of minutes as I go to the darker background here. Okay, as you can see, S&P is kind of dipped down to that 58.0, 58.10s. Okay, 58.20, 58.0, 8s, 9s. I had 58.06. Yesterday's low was 58.09. All right, so we'll see if we can get deeper in. Now there's a level below this as well, which I want to express in a moment. Same thing in NASDAQ. So we made another lower low. So we've been talking a little bit about this in the trade room for a little while now, where, markets are on the daily time frame at least, they are trying to fish out kind of lower low, lower highs, lower low, low highs. Okay, but you always want to map out where you are on the higher time frames as well, monthlies and weeklies. Okay, so just keep that noted. All right, again, hammer bar yesterday closed. All right, NASDAQ up slightly off of the back of the news. So just because we're green right now pre-market doesn't mean that we're going to continue. Okay, but we do have red bar here, down, down, down. All right, coming down again into some demand that we had, mapped out in the past. Okay, we finally get dipping down in this level now, Phantoms, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how this level, how markets are going to respond off of this here. All right, I'm going to drop down to the smaller time frames now in a moment. But again, we have levels up here too that I want to map out. I did want to update this really quickly here. I believe this is last week's high, but I want to make a note of this level right here. Just give me a moment. NASDAQ futures, and I realize I might not be able to see the numbers, so I'm gonna switch to a darker background on the screens so y'all can see that. All right, but I just wanted to pin that high right there, 21,000, roughly 880 give or take here on NASDAQ futures. All right, Dow Jones, Russell, 2,000. I'll save a little time here. Switch over to the monthly, weekly, daily. All right, so I'll stay on S&P and NASDAQ futures for a moment. All right, just real quick, just because this is a bit more cleaner, all right, not so many lines, and I'm sure you can maybe see better now, clearer with the darker background as mentioned. So we have the monthly, we have the weekly, we have the daily. And I've been talking about this a lot lately because we, of course, the market's dropping down, giving us a nice little drop down for the beginning of the new year, right? So, but we have our monthly levels kind of mapped out here to the left, okay? So very important here, looking at the October low right here, there's a note, I'm not sure if you can see that, we can zoom in, but 5670 in SPX, okay? Super important there. That's gonna be the October kind of November low-ish, and it's a demand zone, right? It's a demand zone there on the higher time frames. So even though if we do, continue to come lower in the event that that does happen, okay, there's going to be some interesting price points here as a hit, okay, down here SPX 5670 handle, okay, down at these October, November lows, okay. That's also going to be an area of confluence with the 200 P moving average on the daily time frame, which is a big one there. All right, I would need more time to explain that, as we do. When we have more time inside of the Phantoms rooms, so on and so forth. Okay, but I just wanted to make the point. What am I trying to say here? Even though the daily, if you look over here, the daily, as we're starting to make lower low, lower highs, lower low, low highs here. Okay, just always keep in mind that monthly level. Okay, good job, Red Rock, complete gamble, but it paid off. Yeah, 700 ticks in Nasdaq. Nice. So you probably went long. Right? And you took that little nice rip up. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna switch over into the futures, right? Monthly, weekly, daily, same thing, but you see all the lines and notes here, so it's hard to see. So I'm gonna break this down here. All right, so I got the 60-minute time frame upper left, 30-minute time frame bottom left, 5-minute time frame here in the middle, and I have the 2-minute time frame here on the hard right edge. All right, think or swim platform here. I'll pop up in the 60-minute time frame. Okay, so I just spent a couple of moments there going over the higher time frames. I'm hoping that kind of made sense. I'm doing it very quickly, right? Kind of like an elevator talk here, right? Of course, we'll go in more detail, but one of the first things that we want to do is map out what's called our Globex high, Globex low, or overnight high, overnight low. So here's S&P futures. Okay, what you're looking at here on a 1 hour time frame. Okay, and this is a gray space here. Here is going to be the overnight session here. Think or swim, they kind of grayed out. The darker space is regular trading hours. The gray space is overnight. Point being made here is that this blue line here, this is the Globex high. Okay, that's the highest high, the highest point that happened overnight, because we're still in the kind of overnight session. Regular trading hours starts at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 27 minutes from now. So you can see off news we spiked up, right? But we're kind of coming right back down. This is the Globex low as we speak right now, represented by this blue line. Okay, represented by this blue line. So we have a Globex high, we have a Globex low. Okay, S&P futures. And this white dash line here is what's called VWAP, okay, daily VWAP right now. So we're kind of balanced right now. So you can see off news that came out at 11:30. I'll even just switch over to the 30-minute time frame just real quick. I'm sorry, not 11:30, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Okay, there's the news, right? The news spike. So we spiked up, okay, off news, but we pulled right back down, okay, and now we're back in the mid-range. Okay, so markets are still kind of just balancing out just a little bit off of yesterday's kind of, just fade rally up. By the way, for phantoms that know deeper regarding gaps, remember that was a novice gap down there, by the way. We have red bar close. Then we have a gap down into demand. Okay, a little bit of a novice gap. VIX collapsed a little bit there, and then we faded up all day. All right, but again, that's a little bit more detailed. We'll need a lot more time regarding that. All right. By the way, as I take a sip of coffee here, if you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can go to TradePhantoms.com. All right. And there's, you can start there by registering. There's Thursday evening classes. You can take a peek at that. Coffee. Good. Yum. All right, Globex high, Globex low. Now, I'll pop up on this. There's something called the Globex bear trap. This is a slide right out of the one of the classes there regarding futures. All right, I'm not going to read this whole thing here. Okay, I'm going to go through it very quickly. All right, but this was called a bear trap. Okay, so this is going to be a bullish, where we're getting bullish. We want to have an institutional level of demand below the Globex low. Okay, we also want to look for institutional level of supply. Okay, above the Globex high. Okay, for what's called a bull trap. Okay, so we're trying to trap people who are buying and selling at the wrong time, wrong location, and wrong end. Okay, demand and supply. So that being said, I just brought that up there really quickly, but of course we dissect that a bit more in depth with more time. Here's the Globex low. If I look down and left, okay, here's current price in the middle. Okay, here's the Globex low. If I look down and left, I have a level of institutional demand below Globex low, okay? And the one thing that we do have is, just yesterday's kind of demand zone that got put in here. So, okay, so we have a bit of a drop, a basing, and a rally. Now, we could use this as a reference point. Now, this is, there's something called a scoring system, okay? And again, well beyond the time that we have here for right now. But I will say this, we have the 58.25, okay? Now, we could potentially use this level again if in the event that we come down and break Globex low, all right? And that's yesterday's low as well. But I just want to make a note really quick here because 58.25, the number you might not be able to see right now because I squinched up the chart a little bit here. If I look down and left, this down here is a retest to this over here, which we had pinned, okay? Which we had kind of already analyzed, okay? So over here, back in 11/5, November 5th, we have an impulse, a basing, and an impulse here. Okay, so there goes that 58.25. So that got hit yesterday, and we had a nice little rally off of that. Okay, now we can use that again potentially today. Okay, but there's a scoring process that we go through as mentioned. Okay, and this is not going to get the best score. Why? Because it got hit one time already. So that changes the demand supply kind of equation there, right? Point that I'm trying to make very quickly here, if I could, is that if we come below that level, there's another level right below that. Okay, whoops. There's another level right below that. All right, in S&P futures here, by the way. All right, you might want to write this down. All right, it's kind of two of them here. 58.06, and also I would also kind of pin and have planned on your chart down into the price point of 57s, 57.90s, okay? So 58.06 and 57.90. All right, that's if we do make if we break yesterday's low and make a lower low, okay? All right, so if y'all can see that, if we break yesterday's low as mentioned. All right, now that might not be the case. And also what you want to do is reference and cross-reference that into the SPY. Okay, the same thing for NASDAQ, you do the QQQs, SPY or SPX, okay? And as you can see down in here, all right, if we did break yesterday's low, okay, this is a daily time frame here. We do have a nice little, we have a drop or a couple of inside bar candles here and then a nice rally, okay, out of here. So there's some demand down in here. Okay, this is blue down here, and blue color code is going to be, that's going to let me know that we have daily time frame, color code wise. Okay, and that's just me personally. I just color code it that way. All right, you don't have to do that to yourselves, but I'm just, just giving y'all kind of like what you're looking at here daily. Okay, so that's SPY's 50, even numbers, 572. Okay, so pretty interesting there. So even if we did break a new lower low, albeit maybe today, tomorrow, if that's going to happen, okay, if that's going to happen, we have some level we have some levels down in here. Okay, there's some levels down in here. All right, right now we have a slight gap up. All right, so again, I'll continue here, but let's see what we're going to be gapping up into. Right, so we have Globex high, and we also, as mentioned, we can have what's called a Globex trap short. So if I look up and left, a level of supply above Globex high. Okay, we have this level right here. Now this is a very obvious level. All right, this was a couple days ago, give or take. This supply level. Okay, we have a basing, nice drop. Now a lot of time spent here, right? This was also when we closed last Thursday for the observance of Carter, right? who passed away, right? RIP. But we have this drop. Now, this is very obvious, right? So I want to be careful here. Yes, big drop here. Okay, I'm sure everybody and their grandmother can see this nice little drop here, this price point 59.50. Okay, a lot of time spent there though, right? So in the event that we break a little bit higher up here, I'd want to, I have a couple levels mapped out up here to keep a long story short. All right, and you kind of want to start this out at maybe a 59.80, call it, right? Because there's going to be some stop losses here, some stop losses here, okay, built up. All right, so you might even want to put an entry point, okay, where people are getting stopped out. And as I mentioned, I'll just keep the numbers simple right now, even numbers here, 59, what did I say? 59.80, right, S&P futures. This would be what's called the Globex Trap Short, okay? And if I just do this and zoom in a bit more further up here too, okay, we have a couple levels up here. So 59.80, and then we have another one right here. This was one that we wanted to get filled last week because we wanted to load it up some more size here. It never got hit, okay, and it dropped down. We had some other trades that we hit, but we were planning on this one. All right, last week, almost got hit. That comes in 59.88, give or take. Okay, and then last but not least that I'll say right now would be the 6,000 handle, 6,005. Okay, because a lot of people lose the even numbers there, so could be some great liquidity sweeps right above these highs here. Okay, so 5,980, 5,988. All right, 6,005. Kind of a couple levels here above current price. Okay, in the event that we do rally coming up. Okay, again, skipping over that obvious level right there. So I'm looking to see if we can get a liquidity sweep above there. All right. Right now, if we were to try to get long right now, short, we're kind of balanced right now. So we're kind of inside of the news bar. So it's kind of annoying. There's the news bar, if you will. PPI. And kind of right now we're just, we respiked, we kind of rebalanced here. Okay, so you got the 20 EMA, the 200 EMA here in a small time frame, very small time frame. You got VWAP, most important. We are below VWAP, so that VWAP white dash line is the most important line right there. So I want to see how we react and respond, and if we're above daily VWAP, buyers are in control. If we are below daily VWAP, the sellers are in control. Okay, so we were below it, we were above it, we were below it, we're above it. We're balancing right now, basing. As markets are kind of coming down lower, but yesterday was a fade, what's called a fade day, okay, off of a pro gap down. So we're kind of like rebalancing here. So today's gonna be pretty interesting, to see. So I'm just being very patient right now. I'm gonna be very patient off the open too to see kind of who's gonna win. Show me a side, right? I don't care if it goes up, I don't care if it goes down. Okay, get on the right side and ride. Okay, so right now I don't have nothing for you there. Sometimes we do have some opportunities right off. Right out the gate, even before 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, but I'm just not going to click a button just to click a button. You have to have a proper setup, right? That being said, NASDAQ futures. I'll try to do this quicker, all right, because it's going to be roughly the same thing. Mapping out a Globex high, here, blue line. Mapping out a Globex low, here, blue line. Okay, again, white dash line here, VWAP. Okay, we're just in the middle, so we're balancing. Spike up, come back down. We're exactly where we were overnight, all overnight. Okay, 1 hour time frame here of NASDAQ. 1 hour time frame here of NASDAQ. So again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing here, shindig, but we had a couple levels down in here. Okay, 20,875. We had a nice little pop out of there, right? Rebalance. Okay, came back down lower. Okay, and then we had a nice little pop yesterday too. Okay, coming out of that level of demand, and we kind of mapped these out. Now. If again, same thing. I like to keep the lines there so people can see kind of, especially for the trolls online and internet. Okay, but we could use yesterday's low, as mentioned, the S&P, same thing. So Globex low. Oh, I'm sorry, below Globex low. We can use yesterday's low as a reference point. Okay. So potentially we could still use that 20,750 handle. Okay, I'm not going to be looking at the 20,875, the 20,801 anymore, okay, because that already got tagged, all right, and came deeper in, rallied back out. So I'm not going to be using those, but I'll just keep those lines there so y'all can see the prices and the rally out of it, okay? Now, that being said, if we get lower below that level, okay, what I had pinned over here not too long ago here is going to be this price point right here. What do I have? 20,645, okay, and then I have 20,000. 575. All right, NASDAQ futures here. All right, there's a couple daily lows down in here as well. All right, but that will be the new lower low. 20,645, 20,575. Okay, and in the event that Nasdaq futures made a lower low, inside bar, possibly figgy break on the daily, potentially, potentially. Potentially. Don't get married to that idea, but potentially. All right, adapt. All right, so that's a level below. I'm gonna try to speed this up a little bit, 15 minutes before open here. Here's Globex high. So same thing. I'm not gonna be really looking at this here. Everybody and their grandmother can probably see this level right there. So therefore, if we go a bit more higher, we're at 21,505, 21,580. All right, 21,505, 21,580. This is recorded. All right, so you can always go back and just check out the prices real quick as well, okay, just to see the level here. All right, just above these highs here for some liquidity. All right, and always want to map out where these levels are in addition to, and cross-referencing them. That was NASDAQ futures, so you're going to cross-reference that, well, with the QQQs. All right, gold futures. We had a nice little trade last week in gold futures. Still in the option on this. I mentioned that last Thursday on YouTube. You can check that out. We already started to take some profit, definitely on the gold futures. I'm out of that gold futures trade right now. I got trail stopped on the swing trade, which was good. And then I'm still in the gold GLD swing trade for the option. All right, but I'm not going to rehash that. We had a nice little close last week, positive, positive COG officially. We had a little bit of a gap down. Okay, so gold still again doing that range process here. All right, but we had a nice little, nice little move at the end of the week last week. All right, I'll switch over to the gold futures. Just do it really quickly here, and same thing, mapping out our Globex high, Globex low. This is ES. Whoops. There we go. Gold futures. All right, so we have some nice target areas up here. Beautiful, nailed it. Then I just got trail stopped, right? So again, you can go watch the recording on that. Moving forward, moving on. These are all the notes from, oh man, I can't even look at this. This thing is, oh God. I don't want to delete that right now, but I don't want to waste time on this too much. This is only one of my accounts. It's a little organized, better organized on the other accounts. This is the one that I trade live in front of people, so I have a lot of the notes here. All right. But if I could try to clean this up a little bit better, Globex low. See if I can grab that line, if we can make that out here. Right there, Globex high. If we could try to make this one out too. Kind of annoying, can't see nothing here. Globex high. May give the 2665. Yep. Not bad. 2665. And I have a note there too. This might not be bad. It's another, as our good friend Joe Frank in the house. He's a phantom. Globex trap bullish 2665. 26, down in here. All right, not bad there. All right, that would be a Globex trap long bullish. All right, decent. This level, we had a nice little deeper pullback here, right, on this. All right, and as you can see, the Phantom team in here, which is doing very good, are mentioning that we hit this level a couple times here, so it's not super prime and fresh, so on and so forth. All right, but we can use that as a potential reference point here for a potential Globex trap long. Okay, and if I look down and left here, there's not really great demand down in here. So gold's going to be interesting to see if we can, if this pullback here is going to find some kind of basing here and put in some demand and support for a potential another leg higher. Okay, we had a nice close last week, positive COG. Okay, but we are inside bar. Okay, on the monthly. Last month was a straight inside bar, and the weeklies have been, wicking up, wicking down, wicking up, wicking down. So as you can see, every time that we've kind of dropped down, we kind of come back into range. Every time that we kind of rip up in gold, we come right back down, mean revert, and come back into range. Okay, so that being said, you got to be careful with this because the location where we are today is in the middle, right here. Here's current price right here. okay, hard right edge over here, okay. So we're still kind of sifting out, who's going to win overall macro picture wise on the monthly, weeklies, okay, monthly, weeklies. All right, so kind of we're in the middle of the location, so just be careful, folks, okay? Therefore, I would even still have pinned these 2625s and 2600 down here. Gold futures just tagged 2600 to just a couple of ticks here, okay, and ripped out. And that's going to be the pivot, potential pivot point right here. All right. So again, I don't have enough time right now, but we map out our impulse correction waves, so on and so forth. Okay. But right now, we'll see if we could try to pick up. For the record, I'm still long GLD calls. Okay. They pulled back a little bit. They were a little bit profitable still yesterday. They went break even, then they were slightly down, slightly up. Okay. After we took some profit up here. All right. But Globex trap short, if I were to say that in all fairness too, I have a line right here, so I guess I could just stare that line. These are all take profits from last week, those blue lines here. I'm sorry, those green lines. But the Globex trap, if I have we do have a bit of a drop, a basing and a drop right here. All right, but there's a couple levels. I want to be a little bit more conservative here with you folks, especially on YouTube. I saw a map out was called a regular trading hour session supply level. And that's going to be up here. So focus on the red line up here, 27, call it 27. This could potentially be a Globex trap short. Now it's way up there. I know, I get it. Okay, but here's the Globex high. But again, gold's overall monthly, weekly, daily is still trying to hold up its macro picture uptrend. All right, I just go to GLD just because it's a bit more cleaner. Okay, monthly, weekly, daily. Okay, but I did spend some time on gold in the past, even on YouTube. Okay, even on YouTube. So you can check out some of the past recordings. Okay, for the record, I still got those GLD calls. All right, gotta move on, right? VIX. All right, there goes the GLD calls. All right, February 28th, 250 strike call, bottom at 380. These are going for like 4 something, 5 something last week. Took some profit. Told the folks to shave out a little bit there. They closed yesterday at 355, so they're down a little bit there, right? But I'm still in those. All right, VIX. Volatility index, 30-day applied vol on the SPX options, fair greed gauge, so on and so forth to keep it short and sweet. VIX down, market up. VIX up, market down. All right, so VIX right now is down slightly, 2%. Mapping out yesterday's high, yesterday's low. We always want to map out our higher time frames too. It's not you're not really mapping out demand supply, but using this as a gauge. So we're a slightly elevated VIX. We're printing a VIX 20, 22 handle. Nothing too crazy. Markets are pulling back, normal. All right, nothing too crazy. If the VIX spikes insanely, something typically is kind of going on, right? So we're kind of just chilling right now, right? For the most part, we're off the lows. We're off the highs. We're kind of in the middle there too. All right, but we want to map out. I want to take a look at this also on the smaller time frames too, and how this maps out during the day. So standard operating procedure here, mapping out the Globex high. Then I'm also going to map out the Globex low. All right, and if the VIX, rips up and sustains up and trends up, that could be more bearish for the market. And if the VIX slams down and continues to trend down, that could be potentially more bullish for the market, for the day. All right. So you can see yesterday, just as a reference, VIX had a nice little fade down. So VIX down, but market was up yesterday, okay, but VWAP for majority of the day. All right, so we'll map that out. SPY. For my Phantoms folks, tomorrow we're going to plan some SPX for us. We're going to get that into our morning routine as promised. But for right now, we got 7 minutes before open. Here's SPY on a daily time frame. So we have a gap up. So pre-market quote right now 584.25. For the record, I do have some SPY calls that I have left over from yesterday. So January 25th, they bought these, for 87 cents. They closed 142s. These are going to be printing here today. So my Phantoms who are trained, hopefully y'all did okay yesterday. Has some carryover from yesterday. All right, so we have a nice little gap up. Now somebody mentioned, we have this is an outside gap. So yesterday's low, yesterday's high. Okay, and yesterday's close, right? So pre-market quote, if you could see it right there, 584.29, give or take, Okay, now somebody was already mentioning like, hey, could this be a gap up, fakey breaky, and same back down? I mean, that could be the case, but don't get married to that, right? Don't get married to that idea. Just be careful. We're gonna do our go through the process, right? Go through the process. We focus a lot on not thinking, not feeling too much. Yes, you can have a plan, all right, but I'm going to pull VWAP. All right, I'm going to make sure that I want to remain on the right side, okay, of VWAP, and it could be a gap up. We could fade down all day and etc. But we can have a gap up and go. Okay, we can have a gap up and go. All right, so just map out your levels and prepare. All right, and stay adaptive. All right, now we do have a gap fill here, or I should say an unfilled gap. Okay, so you might want to write this down. Okay, you have a close here last Wednesday. We had a gap down. Okay, close there and we opened up here. So we had green bar close there. I'm on a daily time frame of SPY. Okay, close there. Thursday, January 8th, and we opened right there. Okay, we opened right there Friday, January 10th, because last Thursday was closed, right? So it's an open gap or unfilled gap. So you might want to make a note of that. It comes in about 589.50. All right, so are they going to fill this gap today? I'm not sure, but we're going to prepare for something like that because we are gapping up and we could continue to get up there. Okay, now for long, we want to start to take profit. Okay, all right, take profit, take profit, take profit. Okay, I also reference this level right in here because sometimes what will happen is we'll break above, say, a daily high right here. We'll have markets act as if, or have price action as if it's going to fill that gap, and they might not fill it all in one day. Okay, so I also want to reference also last week's VWAP right here in yellow, and then the yearly VWAP that started, of course, in the new year, January 2nd. Okay, and you can see that black line there and a yellow line right there. That is last week's VWAP and yearly VWAP. So that's going to be a tag point right there, and that's going to be in the middle of the gap. Okay, so this is something that I'm going to be taking into account and being super aware of that. That comes in at about, we might want to write this down, 587-ish. Okay, 587-ish. All right, plus or minus, 10, 20 cents, give or take. Okay. All right, so that is definitely going to be on the radar here for today. All right. Along with that unfilled gap. All right, dollar breaking out. I'm hoping the folks and the team, dollar interesting, dollar finally breaking out of a monthly range that it has been in for years. This is 2 years of data here. So dollar index is finally closed above a range. Okay, so this is why it's so important to map out your higher time frame. So I was telling folks that, I'm long dollar bullish. I don't know why, because, we're uptrending and higher time frames are breaking out right on the 20, positive COG. Okay, pretty simple stuff. All right, you don't have to complicate it. Been doing this a long time, and I keep it more simple every single year. All right, I get more simpler. All right, pretty simple. Quadrant 3 and 2 on a daily time frame. All right, red bar takeout green. All right, monthly, weeklies, dailies up. All right, pretty simple stuff there. As it should be. GLD, we already kind of covered that a little bit there. I got the 250 strike call. Those aren't expiring until Feb, right? So February 28th. So we get some time on that. All right. Apple. Got a bull put credit spread on this. I added to it yesterday, as I had mentioned to the team. If we got down into this level right here, we had impulse basing impulse on a daily. We tagged that yesterday. Okay. So we have hammer bar close yesterday. How do you determine if you're going to trade 0 DTE or the next day? Typically, if I'm doing SPYs or Qs, I'm going to be doing the next day expiration. Okay. SPX, I'm usually doing 0 DTE. For my own personal account, I'll do next day as well. Day trading, this is all day trading. So day trading wise, right now I do have swing trades that I'm in for I'm all the way in some swing trades expiration April, right? February, March, April. I would just put on something in June yesterday. Okay, so for day trading, SPYs and Qs, I'm typically always doing next day no matter what. And I annoy myself sometimes when I do 0 DTE on SPYs and Qs. It just happened last Friday. I was kind of like, why am I even doing that? But SPX is kind of expensive. for a lot of newer folk. So usually I'll do like 0 TTE on that, and I like to get the gamma and the charm on that for options. Uh, but yeah, if you're trading SPYs and Qs, they're fairly cheap. The options are cheap. A couple bucks, a couple $100. Slightly at the money or slightly out of the money. So they're fairly cheap. But SPX, if I do next day expiration for slightly out of the money, like a 30 delta on SPX, that could still cost you $400 or $500, right? And per contract. And that might be that I'll do that sometimes personally. Don't get me wrong, but that could be a little hefty for some folks, right? And then if you don't get the move next day, those options you just go to zilch, not a zero. So I try to focus a little bit. When I'm training other traders, I try to focus on like the lower, the lower risk, like asymmetric risk, like risk one, risk $1.20, on the option, risk $2.20 on the option, worst case scenario, and then of course we're trying to ride those options, selling them for I'm not trying to exaggerate, but I'm trying to asymmetric risk one to make 3, risk one to make 4, risk one to make 5, risk one to make 1, so on and so forth, right? So there we go. So hopefully that helped. All right, so we just got the market open. I didn't go through much gaps here, but a lot of things are slightly gapping up decently. Google is definitely on the list here. Was holding strength yesterday for the most part. Okay, coming off low range. Tesla, I did sneak in some Tesla yesterday. As well. Actually, I'm gonna take profit on that actually. We had a nice bullish engulfing bar here. I picked up the 4:30 strike call for Friday's expiration. Let me get some internals. Just follow me and pull a VWAP for the day. I gotta take profit on these options too here personally. Even on this account here. I realize this is kind of not fair right now. I'm gonna get to the charts here. Come on, take a swim. Right click, create closing order, market sell. All right, almost done. Give me a second here. I'm a real life trader, so I need to make sure that I'm handling stuff personally real quick, but almost done. I'm going into my other third account that I put these on in. Because now these are 0 DTE, because I got in it yesterday and carried them on. I added a little bit too yesterday, and then just take a profit on them today on this gap up, because what if we fade down all day today, right? So I want to make sure, 2 of these are in the money right now, so I gotta make sure that I'm just taking some profit here, reduce my size pretty dramatically here, take profit, and I'm done. And then now I can have undivided attention for you folks here on tube. And let's hit it. All right, let me just check internals really quickly. Get a thumb on the pulse here. So we got VIX. VIX just still hanging down a little bit there. Too early for cumulative ticks. We see the gap up there. Advanced declines, somewhat extreme up, 1400 plus or minus. I'm sorry, plus, right? Plus 1400. Extremes are going to be positive or negative 1800, 2000. So we're kind of hanging up there. All right, vol-D volume on the New York Stock Exchange up versus down. Extremes, I should say, positive -3. So first print kind of +3. All right, Apple's definitely on the radar. Let's check it. JP Morgan looking good too. Nice positive COG close on JP Morgan. Y'all see that? All right, JP Morgan long call. Tesla, I'm already long call. That looking good too. AVGO decent. VIX is going to be extremely important today. Remember, tomorrow we got CPI, right? So keep that in mind. Bottoming tail at the rising 20 on Google. All right, Apple looking good there. Q's up. All right, Apple looking decent. AVGO as well for a bullish long call. We're not closed yet, but it's just open. But we have a nice little bar that got put in here on the 5 here. Nice hammer on that. I'm going to pull the trigger on Apple long call. Nice little positive COG here on the 2. Holding some strength off yesterday's bottoming tail. Right now off the open. AVGO as well. All right, so I'm going to hit long call on Apple and AVGO at the moment for right now. All right, Q's looking good too. So Apple January 17th expiration. You just go basically at the money here. Maybe pick up the 237.5 strike here. Those going for about $1.16, $1.66. So long call Apple here. Day trade. Q's looking good too. All right, just got filled here, 161 on the call premium for the 237.5 strike. Just doing January 17th expiration. Tesla as well, looking good. Now AVGO. Oops, that was supposed to be right here for Apple. AVGO as well. Tesla looking good. So Apple pull back. Let me get AVGO here. This should already be long call AVGO. I was holding some nice strength yesterday as well. I took a little trade on AVGO as well yesterday. Don't have any carryover here, but I'll go 39 delta on these. You can maybe even pick up to 235 here if you want to get a little lower delta here. All right, I'll pick up to 235, lower risk just for right now for the folks on Tube here. All right, yeah, January 17th expiration. They're going for about $2 there, 235 strike call, January 17th. On AVGO ticker. I got filled at 189 personally on these. 235 strike. January 17th expiration. Just draw that blue, kind of like blue line there, just to represent that kind of where I got in there, give or take. All right, Tesla on fire. Positive CRG. Tesla's looking good for a day trade. We are coming up into this level, so I want to be careful of the 227.28 handle, but long call Tesla looking good. I snagged this yesterday. Let me see. So I don't want to get too far away from the 430, so I'll pick up the, I'll be careful with this one here. All right, I'll pick up the, see if we can get a little trade here. I'm already in these, but I'll see if I can add to these here. 430 strike call. This would be a day trade. I want to be careful with this, all right? Now we are on a high. You might want to wait for a little bit of a pullback on this. We are coming up into this daily, weekly high of last week. Okay, this is the weekly candle in here. So we've been inside week. So want to be very careful. So if we can get up into the 425 handle, we definitely want to start to TP on this. So pulling back a little bit on it, which is fairly decent. But be careful with this trade on Tesla long call. All right, so I'll pick up the 430 strike right now. I'm gonna manage this pretty aggressively. Manage that aggressively because just in case I don't want anybody to get to buy too high up there and get body slammed on that. So just be careful with this trade here. I wish I had a little more time in this room here to. So 430. Strike. Let's bought these at 815. All right, 430 strike. Now I should be doing this. If we should be doing this already, where we have what's called a. So be careful with this. Hold on. Let me see if I don't want to put my stop loss right below the opening bar print. But if we break below 410s, and usually I don't like to stop out in the middle of the gap either. But I want to be careful because I realize I'm on YouTube here. So if we get stop loss is going to be 408.48. Okay, 408.40. 408. 408. 48. All right, let me do this first. So price slice. Stop loss. 408.48. Okay, and what we bought for, I just got filled at 815. All right, you're taking about 4 points of risk on that. All right, so you're taking about 4 points of risk. Okay, so that's what I want to be if you're looking at this Tesla trade. All right. VIX dump, spies up. TP some AVGO. AVGO, nice little pop here. We could TP some here. All right, from 189 to 206. Nothing too crazy, but we could TP, always be closing, right? So just TP is the team saying there. TP means take profit. Nothing crazy, but just starting out here. All right, just hit the market, got him for $2. As a target number 1. Right back to break even, so this is why you got to take profit diligently here. All right, still in, they pulled back a little bit. All right, usually put these lines in light green. Whatever, TP means take profit. Still in, right? But take profit number one. Great, moving on. Pull back to break even. Let's see, Qs. Yeah, Qs looked good. Let's see, Qs pulled back on their VWAP. Qs so far, what time is it? 9:45. Opening day's range is about to be put in here. Nice little positive CRG, pull back on VWAP. So yeah, Qs looking good. All other things being equal. For now, SPYs too. Advanced decline still holding up. VIX on lows. Yeah, XOM's been on fire a little bit there with oil coming up. XOM's interesting. Some folks are even in this on a swing trade. XOM good too. All right, I'm gonna get long Qs here. VIX on lows. It's pulling daily VWAPs. FANG's not exploding, so just be a little patient here, but the buyers are trying to take a stance a little bit here, not super aggressive. So you want to keep your head on the swivel and focused. All right, but I'm gonna get long QQQs as mentioned. What are we trading? 509.40s. Tesla pulled back. We'll check just one more thing real quick, Gex. Q's are on VWAP right now. Might even be below VWAP. So I didn't pull the trigger just yet. Let's see today. A bit of negative and positive Gex, so you might want to be a little bit patient here. All right, so I didn't pull it just yet on Qs. And remember, I'm long Apple, AVGO, so it can be a bit patient. All right, because this is a, you know, we're below daily VWAP, so we want to be a little careful here. So we have a VWAP breakdown. So now it's okay to be below daily VWAP for right now. So we want to paint bars. So the opening day's range, you know, just kind of got put in the first 15 minutes. So this is the opening day's range, high and low. So you can always elect to just be a little bit patient for right now. All right, let it prove to you. I don't have to do nothing too crazy here because, you know, long Apple, right? Amazon, it's weekly. Amazon holding some strength there. VGO pulling back to VWAP. All right, so just be a little bit patient. Bar sellers want to be a little careful with Tessie there. All right, make sure your stop loss is in. Meta break it down a little bit. Meta and Microsoft having a little struggle there. Lilly, yeah, Lilly's been on fire. I know some of y'all, cause swing trade, don't like these wicks on Microsoft. If we can hold above these and break above this, that could help the NASDAQ and the S&P. All right, Apple looking good. Nice little bar that got put in right there. Small time frame, 2 minute. We'll see if that continues, but we'll see. All right, so we are in the middle of the open days range, right? So just be patient. All right, but if this bar gets taken out, I mean, we'll see. Yeah, Amazon holding some bids there. We're at last week's VWAP and yearly VWAP right now, which in a little bit of a supply area here too, albeit as well, right? So I just want to be a little careful. I'm just managing my bullish exposure right now, right? I just want to be a little cautious and patient, as mentioned, right? So remember, if things are not lining up very greatly, all right, then hold back your risk. Hold your cards a little tighter, right? Meta actually is one of the weaker ones this morning, but it's one of the strongest ones overall. So a little mixed today. All right, so just be patient. We're on daily VWAP on Qs and SPYs right now. A little bit below it. Come on, man. Yeah, so just be super patient today with this. If you wanted to cut out Tesla with this, if it's making you a little too much, smaller risk on this. So, I mean, if you did want to cut out Tesla right now, because I'm not going to be able to be here to manage this with you. Usually I am. We're going to go hours and hours, but these are down. So hopefully somebody position size too crazy there. I almost didn't want to give that one out, but things are kind of breaking down just a little bit here. All right, if this VIX continues to kind of grind higher, that's going to be noteworthy there. But we are below VWAP on SPYs and Qs. So if you wanted to get some puts, it's decent now to do that. All right, it's a bit of a breakdown here. That's why I took a moment in the morning to make sure that I took some profit on some of the overlap. So if you do SPY puts here, tomorrow's expiration, for example, if you picked up maybe like a 35 delta, those going for about 579 strike there. All right, for about $2.30. All right, can pick these up, 579 strike put on SPYs. All right, cool. So just got 221 fill personally here. 579. 579. Tomorrow's expiration. Give or take there. Now, if this reclaims and reconquers VWAP above there, that white dash line, it makes a new high. I'm just going to get out of these. All right, now we broke a little bit here below the opening day's range and in this gap here. So sometimes what will happen here, sometimes is it does swipe below the opening day's range, okay, and then we can potentially get back up to VWAP and fade and rip higher. Okay, so that'll be the risk on this trade if that happens. Now, since I'm already long, Tesla pulling back on us here, right? Apple pulling back on us here, okay? AVGO long pulling back on us here, okay? I got some SPY puts, right, for the day, right? If that continues. Now, if the SPY rips back, if this SPY reclaims VWAP and rips back up, that could pull the market. So I want to see if this is going to just be a quick little, it might be, right? Just a quick little sweep below opening day's range. Okay, or we're going to have fall through. All right, so we just have what's called a negative COG here, close below, right? COG, we're below daily VWAP, so that's why I got some long puts. All right, and you can see Apple kind of still inside of its opening day's range. AVGO pulled back, so it's coming in. This is yesterday's VWAP. So we TP'd one a little bit here on this, but not, still it's slowing down, right? In all fairness. And then we got Tesla. Looking like it might want to. It hasn't yet, but it looks like it might want to break the opening day's range too right here, right? So I got the high on day fade VWAP. I got the daily VWAP here. All right, so just got some SPY puts, and market's dropping a little bit, nothing too crazy, but VIX is kind of hanging out here. But if VIX continues to make a higher, continue up, then this market might become a little bit more lower here. All right, long day though. Long day. All right, so Apple, if this thing just breaks down for some risk management here. If this thing just, comes down, makes a new daily low, you can just cut out of it. All right. So that would be about 230, maybe a couple pennies below the 234 even number. So call it 233.94, give or take. Put a line there to represent that. All right, what does that look like on the risk to reward profile on the option? 233.94, Apple. price slice. So we bought for 161. So you're probably risking about 55 bucks. What we bought for 161, you'd be probably risking about 55 bucks if you elect to remain in and get stopped out below. Here's the opening bar. Here's the low. A couple pennies below that even number there. All right, 55 cents there. All right, we already talked about Tesla. Hopefully everybody position size accordingly to that. All right, so I'm going to stick to that plan there. And then AVGO. We did manage, this is the one that we did manage to TP a little bit here, but this is already kind of breaking down here. Now, the one thing that I will say on AVGO right now is I did notice that it's coming into this yesterday's VWAP. So I want to be a little bit patient on that, all right, into this, right? So I want to be a little bit patient on that. But if this continues to break down, it's going to have to get stopped out, all right, on this. And use a level, because you always want to be objective, right? You can just say right here, all right, below yesterday's little late day rip on this. SPYs were profitable a little bit there if you want to scale out a little bit there, but I gotta hold those on. I gotta hold on to those for due to my long exposure here. All right, so stop loss on AVGO would be 233.47. And let me just see what that looks like. The optimistic person who called this out to take profit. At least profit number one, target number one. We got last week's view up right here, super important. All right, so we got last week's view up here, we got this week's view up here, so kind of this like balancing out right now. So we'll see. So stop loss 223.47. Let me just see what that looks like. $223.47. 223.47. And what we bought for 189, it took a little bit of profit on them. Nothing too crazy, right? They're floating down. They're down 80 cents, right? So you're probably going to be risking about another 40 cents out of that. So so yeah, probably about buck 20 overall, buck 20 per contract of loss in the event that we get stopped out at 233.47 on a stop loss area here. All right, 223.47. All right, JP Morgan looking good. This is the one that's kind of falling through a little bit better here. All right, GLD, Lily. I broke down on Lily. Lily, paper down. I don't know if I caught this. Lily's breaking down a little bit there. All right, pull a so far low on day VWAP. High on day VWAP, low on day VWAP. All right, so it's kind of interesting today. Just be patient. Because we got macro picture. Up. Yesterday we made a quick little new low, right, on daily. Novice gap down, and then fade back up, and today we have a gap up. So we got this kind of momentum that we've been having over the past, I'd say, week or last week or two, all right, give or take. All right, kind of we've had some nice little pushes down, right, push down, low push down. Right, but we're coming into we're coming down into some interesting areas down here. All right, and then now we have a slight gap up. So, could be a gap up, fade down, and continue down today. Right now we're on VWAP or at VWAP, so we already said that. Right now we haven't even filled this gap yet. So if this kid's not filled this gap, today, that that's going to be a little bit of a sign of I don't want to say strength, but But if we could not even really fill this gap on this little flush down, this would be interesting. Right now we did come up to VWAP. Okay, we're at VWAP here, so you could potentially add to some SPY puts here. Okay, for that thesis there. All right. So we'll see. So this is the first little breakdown. So we have a little bit of an impulse move here. Correction here. And right now it would be, you could potentially add to some SPY puts. And then we make it equal to or lower low to potentially fill the gap. All right, stop loss here. All right, you can potentially do that. All right, Apple's still trying to work out there. AVGO still trying to sift out. It's below daily VWAP. All right, I don't want to keep saying the same thing here. I'm not going to add any more risk for us right now, right? Things are not 100% aligned here. And Tesla's a little bit there. It's a little wide there, right? So I want to be careful there too with you folks. All right, so we have this thing called painting bars, right? So the first 30-minute bar just got put in. So we can do this thing called painting bars. All right, that's what you do here. Now, quadrant would that be? So somebody had asked. So we are on daily. We tagged on daily. We're 1 and 4, and yesterday was a 4, quadrant number 4, and we're pulling back. So we're kind of on the we're a bit on the quadrant 1 on daily time frame, but we're not really at higher some higher time frame supply. So we're kind of in the middle. So we're kind of like in quadrant 1 on daily. However, if you're looking at weekly, which is more powerful, we're in quadrant number 3. So that's what's happening right now. Right, this is a weekly time frame. So we're there's VWAP right there, right? The Japan VWAP right there. That's an important one right there because that was kicked off this new high for the year. So we're in quadrant number 3. So that's what's happening. So even though yesterday we gapped down, we moved down on a daily new low, gap down. That's quadrant number 1 and 4. All right. Yesterday's gap down was quadrant 4 exclusively. Bought covered exits, and if we're on a downtrend on daily, which we are a little bit there, reversal long entry because we're coming into some more higher level weeklies. And weekly we're in quadrant number 3. All right, weekly we're in quadrant number 3. So which one's stronger? Weekly, right? Weekly up. That's why even yesterday we gapped down. People trapped yesterday because they just, oh man, market's down. Let me just sell short off the open. Boom, they got ripped up. All right, so if we break above, like I almost want these SPY puts to be wrong. All right, because if I got weekly quadrant number 3 and 2, and we're closer to quadrant number 3 because we ripped down closer to this demand, quadrant number 3, buy to enter long on weeklies, okay? Dailies, we were, yesterday we made new low. It's a higher concept to understand. I need a little bit more time. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Move down, close red bar down, gap down into level of demand. Okay, and look at the VWAPs up here from last week, last month, so on and so forth. So we're away from those VWAPs, right? So that's quadrant number 4 yesterday, right? Gap down, and we faded back up. All right. So you see how we have shorter term VWAPs like last month's VWAP, this last week's VWAP, this year's VWAP, which is only January 2nd right here. We're below that and we're away from that. But this green line down here is the higher time frame VWAP. The higher time frame VWAP. All right, so you got to go with the higher time frame VWAP. All right, and still we're in a macro up, macro picture up, right? So and then now we have a potential flip here. So I'm getting stopped out of these SPY puts. Okay, which I actually like, okay, because this is making lower, potentially the first impulse move, okay, correction impulse, and then we're at VWAP. All right, so this, now we're not just yet, I'm not gonna get out of these just yet, but if this is gonna close close up here, and I'm gonna go check some internals, so on and so forth, and GEX, okay, I might have to get stopped out of these SPY puts, okay, because so we got on a day, we got the weekly up, okay, in terms of quadrant wise, okay, quadrant number 3. Okay, daily's kind of in the middle here, and if this thing holds above VWAP, we could potentially hold above daily VWAP. We could potentially go higher. All right, so I'm not going to close that just yet, all right, because we're still right back in opening day's range. All right, but then you check some internals. So if things were to continue to rally up a bit here off the back of today's news and this little gap up, then we can't even fill this gap. Then we can potentially go going up here, continuing to fade up here, and next stop would be last week's VWAP right there, as mentioned in the pre-market prep, and then maybe we can fill this gap up here. All right, right now it's a little bit of a rangy morning, so just be patient, as mentioned. All right, and then you check your VIX, so on and so forth, as mentioned as well, right? And then paint the bars. So you got VIX. Let me do that real quick. Cumulative tick up. We got advanced decline still holding slightly up here. Not super extreme. Volatility up. Then we got VIX. See, VIX is back down near its lows. So if we continue, if the VIX continues to make lower lows and we hold above daily VWAP, this market could potentially fade back up. So right now it's very rangy. It's very rangy. That's what I'm going to do. Paint the bars. And stick to the process. A little bit of a choppy, rangy morning. So 30-minute time frame here on SPY. So I'll say this, and then I gotta kind of move on a little bit. So I'm well over the hour for the session here, but there's the 30-minute bar low, 30-minute bar high. All right, it's 10:10 Eastern. 10:10 Eastern, and so we'll see. We're inside bar, so if we can get a nice little close above this, or even a close a bit below this, that's going to give you a bit more of on the 30-minute time frame. It's kind of an intermediate time frame. All right, but I'm not going to be going long, short, long, short, long, short on the 5-minute and the 1 minute, 2 minute, small time frames, as we're kind of right back in the range. Okay. So we have this thing called painting bar, so that's what I'm going to be doing here. All right, wait for the bar to close here, and 20 minutes give or take, and see, or if it's going to be inside bar, I'll just wait. All right, and then if we close above here, I'm going to have to cut out of my SPY puts. All right, we'll see if that's going to pull the bullish exposure that I already have on back up, and then potentially get long Qs or long SPYs and flip. All right, Qs I'm flat on right now. And same thing here. So Qs are already kind of in a positive COG territory here on the 5-minute and the 2-minute. All right, you can see on that flush down, we could not have that gap fill. All right, so I'm going to get long Qs. All right, and then that will be it for right now. So January 15th, long Qs here. If I were to pick up, say, the, what are we trading, 509? If I were to pick up, say, I don't know, I've been doing a 35.40 delta here today, so I'll just pick up the 38 delta, only fair, right? So 512 strike call, QQQ's long call, they're going for about $2.40. Long call on Q. Tomorrow's expiration, strike 512. And 249 was my fill price on the long call. All right, long call Qs. Wouldn't you want to wait for a candle to close? You could, Mark. You could. So I'm kind of balancing my risk now because I got some SPY puts that I might have to cut. So I'm kind of balancing my risk right now on that. So you absolutely could. You absolutely could. With everything I just mentioned there. All right, 249. Fill. All right, so sticking my neck out a little bit there, but Absolutely wait for the close. You can do that. So I kind of got like a bot straddle, long put spies, long calls, Qs, which is not, that's already let me know that the day's a little rangy. All right, things are on their view up. I'm not going to keep saying the same thing here. So just trade safely. All right, Apple went in a little bit of profit there. All right, so just trade safely. Typically in the room we go all day, baby. I usually go all day. Can't do that here on YouTube, right? But if you're interested on this, I'll see some of my phantoms later in the what do we have today? The class today, right? But if you go into if you're new and you're kind of interested in this, maybe you are, maybe you're not. Don't matter to me. But if you want to check it out, we got some phantoms in here, right? Thursday, January 16th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. GLD, Mark, you can watch some of the past recordings. I know I think you're a phantom too. So GLD, I already kind of went over it. Even if you go to YouTube on last Thursday, I kind of went in heavy detail. I'm still in those GLD calls. They're basically like break even. But we took some profit on that. But you know, I gotta go. I'm gonna go refresh my coffee. I'm done here right now. But you know, I'm not trying to just you know, shrug you off. But I spent a lot of time recently, not only in the live trade room at Phantoms officially, in the official live trade room, okay, but even I put on a decent, I'm hoping, decent little session on Thursday, where last Thursday even on YouTube, for kind of free there, mentioning all this. So you can reference that. I mean, today we just have a pullback, all right, back in the mid range here. All right, we'll see. All right, I'm still in those long calls from Wednesday's session that we've had together. All right, and we managed that on Thursdays. Yes, sir, Mark, my man, Mark. All right, yeah. So if you go, yeah, whatever. If you're new, you want to become part of the team. The team is insane right now. These guys and girls are growing insanely. So yeah, you know, we'll be good if you're interested. Yeah, you know, we'll be good with you. We'll be good without you. So email, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, y'all can read. This is kind of the agenda. Mr. Green and Mr. Black will be one of the two that will be hosting that. All right. And that being said, I'm out. Blue out. Trade safe. Be safe. A little choppy range here in the morning, but it might be opening up a little bit. So just stay strapped. Stay strapped. All right. Hold your cards. Be patient, and control your risk. And cut losers when wrong, and ride winners when right. That said, Mr. Blue out. God bless. Take care. See some of y'all later. Cheers.